Hello, high level listeners. We've got a brand new English class for you today: how to talk to your coworkers at work and how to make small talk in the office.
Yes, that's right. Welcome back to High Level Listening, where we give you side by side American and British English to help you take your English skills to the next level with me, Mark from the UK, and Kat from the US. And yes, we've had a lot of requests from our students who are working in English speaking companies or like to use English at the office. And our students want to know, how do I talk to my coworkers at work?
So, chatting with your coworkers at work can be a little daunting. Am I saying the right thing? Am I getting too personal? Am I talking too much? So, today we're going to give you a few quick tips to share a little bit about our culture, American culture, and British work culture as well. Then we'll get into some questions and answers to help you start those conversations on the right foot. So, tip number one when talking to Americans: we tend to be more direct and straightforward than our British counterparts. We often prefer clear and direct communication, and we're often quite positive and supportive of our coworkers, saying things like, "That's awesome, great job, that's wonderful to hear," things like that.
On the other hand, your British colleagues might seem a bit more reserved, especially compared to Americans, but we often use more subtle, indirect language to say what we think, or we use humor, like sarcasm, to make a point instead. So instead of saying something like great or good job, we might say, that's not bad at all. Or if we don't like something, we will be indirect again. If I don't agree with you, I will say, right, okay. Or if I completely disagree, I see, instead of directly criticizing something or someone. So it's much less direct in the UK.
Yes, I know. Even Mark and I joke around a little bit that I'm a very direct person. And sometimes when I want his opinion, I just look at him and he says, "Right, I see." And I look
Mm.
at him like, do you not like it? Do you like it? I have no idea. So I know there is a bit of a cultural difference there. Now, our next tip is pretty similar for both countries and both cultures in general: small talk. Small talk is important for building friendly relationships at work. Some people think it's boring, some people think it's unnecessary, but it really is an important part of getting to know people around the office. Americans usually prefer topics like personal interests and hobbies, weekend plans, or work related topics. We might ask something like, "How was your weekend?" And all forms of this. How was your weekend? Any weekend plans? What did you do last weekend? We also talk about what's happening right now, work related, right? How's work going? Got any weekend plans? We love talking about the weekend.
Yes, so just like Americans, British workers will make small talk at work. Again, it is an important social part of working. Again, like Kat said, people might think it's unnecessary or boring, but having a good relationship with your colleagues will open doors and will help your career or make it easier. So there's lots of good reasons to still do it. Most of the small talk topics we have in the UK are about the weather, of course. We'll talk about work, things we watched on TV, or even current events like news if you already feel quite close to your colleagues. We generally can't stop ourselves making jokes or complaining, especially complaining about inconvenience, things like public transport or things breaking in the office. So you might hear some conversation starters in the UK like, "God, the traffic was unbelievable this morning." Or, "God, the rain was horrendous last night." We'll start with a complaint, and that's our icebreaker. We can also use humor, and a popular type of humor in the UK is sarcasm. So if it's pouring rain outside, we'd say, "Enjoying the weather?" So we're making a joke. The weather is not enjoyable. We know. We're trying to be funny and we're trying to start a conversation. We love to share our misery.
I know, if you ever want to really connect with a British person, just start to complain a little bit, start a little complaint. And I feel
Mhm.
like you become friends right away.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Misery loves company.
Misery loves company, of course. So, finally, let's talk about the differences between American and British humor and joking around. Okay. Now, for me, I love a good laugh. I love joking around, laughing. We don't do that as much at work. And we definitely wouldn't joke around something about something that's negative. We'd probably joke a little bit more, yeah, complaining a little bit, but definitely not as much as our British counterparts. So Americans prefer that direct and straightforward joking, not as much sarcasm. So we're often very upbeat and positive, almost annoyingly so to some people. Something like, oh, just sent you an email. It's only about 50 pages, so have fun. Or since we're obsessed with coffee, coffee first, then I'm all yours.
But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, sarcasm is more common in the UK. British people often take a more sarcastic tone towards some things. So things like, I stayed at home, watched TV, another wild weekend for me. Obviously, it wasn't a wild weekend. That's the joke. Another common thing in the UK is we understate things. Just like I will not be direct with my criticism, I will also make problems or success smaller. We don't like
Mm-hmm.
to talk about conflict too much. So problems are conflict. So we'll make them smaller using understatement. So this could be about problems and success too. Like if I secured a really big contract with a big customer, I'd say, yeah, it went quite well. I won't complain about that. So again, I won't complain doesn't sound that great on paper, but actually it was a big success. But I'm British, so I won't boast or brag. And same with problems. If I say, we might have a bit of an issue, all the servers are offline. Like every server in the company is broken. No one can do anything. No one can use their computers. That's a big problem. But when I tell you about it, I will make it smaller. We might have a bit of an issue, like the oven is not working in the kitchen, so we cannot serve the customers any food. We have a bit of a problem. So in the UK, it's about making things smaller, whether it's good or bad news.
Which, of course, for Americans can be a little hard to decipher because we're used to speaking so directly to each other. We might have a bit of an issue. Oh, okay, a small problem, no big deal. All the servers are offline. Um, that is a big deal.
Oh,
So I know
yes.
it's understated for sure. Okay, so let's move on to some common questions and answers. Now, we have a great video on some of the conversation starters. Now, we're just going to keep going with that, some more small talk. So I'll give an answer that is usually more typical of an American colleague or coworker, and Mark's answer could be something you'd expect from a British coworker. Either way, these would all be great questions to ask your English speaking colleagues at work. I wouldn't worry too much about the questions themselves. I think the questions are very common questions, but maybe the answer might be a little bit varied depending on the culture. Okay, so let's have a look. These are all appropriate, they are all respectful, and they would not be considered unprofessional or intrusive. So, this is some of the questions that we get from some of our students in South America or some cultures where you get personal very quickly. They worry a little bit that they might be intrusive or asking too many personal questions. These are perfectly fine, and these are very common. So I'll go ahead and start with the question, and Mark will give his answer. So, what do you get up to when you're not working?
I like to catch up with my mates or just relax at home. I like to catch up with my mates or just relax at home. What do you get up to when you're not working?
I usually head to the gym right after work or hang out with friends. How about you? I usually head to the gym right after work or hang out with friends. How about you? So, our next question, any good lunch spots around here that you recommend?
There's a cafe nearby that does quite decent sandwiches. There's a cafe nearby that does decent sandwiches. Any good lunch spots around here that you recommend?
Yeah, there's a great burger place down the street. You should try it. Hmm. Yeah, there's a great burger place down the street. You should try it. Our next question. So, what's been keeping you busy lately?
Well, work's been quite full on lately, just trying to keep on top of things. Work's been quite full on lately, just trying to keep on top of things. What's been keeping you busy lately?
Working on a couple of big projects. It's been nonstop. I've been working on a couple of big projects. It's been nonstop. A classic. How's your week going so far?
Not too bad. Nothing hugely exciting to report. Not too bad. Nothing hugely exciting to report. How's your week going so far?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Just pushing through the usual workload. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Just pushing through the usual workload. Next one, this is good for some interests. Are you into any shows or podcasts right now?
We've been watching this brilliant series on Netflix. It's this police thriller set in Denmark. We've been watching this brilliant series on Netflix. It's this police thriller set in Denmark. Are you into any shows or podcasts right now?
Yeah, I'm hooked on this new history podcast. I know. It sounds like it would be boring, but it's actually really intriguing. Yeah, I'm hooked on this new history podcast. I know. It sounds like it would be boring, but it's actually really intriguing. The tried and true. Got any weekend plans?
Not much plans. Might go into town for a bit of shopping, then seeing my parents on Sunday, so wild weekend as usual. Not much planned. Might go into town for a bit of shopping, then seeing my parents on Sunday, so wild weekend as usual.
Wild, just wild.
Yeah, that's the good British sarcasm there again. How about you? Do you have any weekend plans?
Um, I'm heading to the beach with the family. Can't wait to get out of the office. I'm heading to the beach with the family. Can't wait to get out of the office. Now, if you have a day off where you have a holiday or like a Monday off, doing anything interesting on your day off?
Doing as little as possible. I'll have a nice breakfast, watch TV, read a book, then maybe the pub for lunch, which counts as exercise. Doing as little as possible. I'll have a nice breakfast, watch TV, read a book, then maybe the pub for lunch, which counts as exercise. How about yourself? You doing anything interesting on your day off?
Probably going hiking, or maybe if the weather's bad, just settling in with a good book. Probably going hiking, or maybe if the weather's bad, just settling in with a good book. Tried any new restaurants or new spots to eat lately?
We tried out a new restaurant in town the other day. It wasn't bad, actually. We tried out a new restaurant in town the other day. Wasn't bad, actually. In British, this means it was quite good. It wasn't bad means it's quite good. This is understatement. How about you? Have you tried any new restaurants or new spots to eat lately?
Yeah, I just tried this new sushi place. It was amazing. My positive American self. Yeah, I just tried this new sushi place. It was amazing. Okay, so are you more of a coffee or a tea person?
Oh, tea all the way with just a splash of milk. Oh, tea all the way with just a splash of milk. Are you more of a coffee or a tea person?
Definitely coffee. Can't start the day without it. Actually, I'm going to go grab a cup now if you'd like to join. Definitely coffee. Can't start the day without it. Actually, I'm going to go grab a cup now if you'd like to join. Our next question. How do you usually spend your lunch break?
I tend to nip out for a sandwich and a bit of fresh air. I tend to nip out for a sandwich and a bit of fresh air. How do you usually spend your lunch break?
More often than not, I grab something quick and try to get a walk in. More often than not, I grab something quick and try to get a walk in. Mark, do you have any background music suggestions? I'm getting tired of the radio.
I listen to a bit of everything, really. Usually something mellow to help me concentrate and get on with work. I listen to a bit of everything, really. Usually something mellow to help me concentrate and get on with work. Do you have any background music suggestions? Getting tired of the radio.
I'd like to listen to a bit of indie rock or sometimes some chill lo-fi, but some days nothing beats a good podcast. Yeah, I like to listen to a bit of indie rock or sometimes some chill lo-fi, but some days nothing beats a good podcast. This is a nice way to ask about people's travel plans or vacations. Have you traveled anywhere nice recently?
We went to Cornwall recently. Lovely place. Bit chilly, but the views were wonderful. We went to Cornwall recently. Lovely place. A bit chilly, but the views were wonderful. So as a Brit, I obviously have a comment about the weather. Bit chilly. How about you? Have you traveled anywhere nice recently?
Yeah, I just got back from a trip to the national parks in California. It was awesome. Highly recommend. Now, as an American, we're always kind of suggesting nice things. If I did something nice, you should do it too. So this is very common in some of my answers. Yeah, I just got back from a trip to the national parks in California. It was awesome. Highly recommend. Okay, so this is kind of asking about lunch. What's your go-to order for takeout? I can't really decide what to get for lunch.
You might like the cafe down the road if you fancy something a bit healthier. You might like the cafe down the road if you fancy something a bit healthier. What's your go-to order for takeaway? I can't really decide what to get for lunch.
You can't go wrong with the sandwich place downstairs. It has lots of hot. You can't go wrong with the Oh, you can't go wrong with the sandwich place downstairs. They have lots of healthy options. Oh, you can't go wrong with the sandwich place downstairs. They have lots of healthy options. Especially if you're getting to know your coworkers and your colleagues more and more. Do you have a favorite spot to relax after work?
I sometimes pop into the pub on the way home for a pint. It helps me unwind a bit at the end of the day. I sometimes pop into the pub on the way home for a pint. It helps me unwind a bit at the end of the day. How about you? Do you have a favorite spot to relax after work?
There's a great bar downtown that's within walking distance. They have a really nice happy hour. There's a great bar downtown that's within walking distance. They have a really nice happy hour. Okay, so now we're into more work-related topics. So, how did you get into your current role?
I kind of fell into it, really. Wasn't planned, but here we are. I kind of fell into it, really. Wasn't planned, but here we are. How about you? How did you get into your current role?
So, I started out in a different department, then worked my way into this role after a couple of years. So, I started out in a different department, then worked my way into this role after a couple of years. So, sometimes the easiest way to connect with someone is to commiserate with them. So, it's like complaining, but just kind of saying, "Whew, I'm tired. You're tired too, right? Huh, long day today, huh? Are you getting up to anything after work?"
Just putting my feet up with a cuppa and maybe watching a bit of telly. Just putting my feet up with a cuppa and maybe watching a bit of telly. So a cuppa is a cup of tea, telly, TV, television.
Very British.
Yes, we do like to commiserate, so with other people. So long day today. You getting up to anything after work?
Ugh, seriously long day. I'm just gonna head straight home and relax in front of the TV. Yeah, seriously long day. I'm just gonna head straight home and relax in front of the TV. Now, I kind of want to mention with this last question, are you getting up to anything after work? This is not an invitation, usually. I'm just interested in seeing what you're doing, right? Just something to talk about. So it can sometimes lead to an invitation, just kind of naturally, but I wouldn't feel like that person is trying to invite me somewhere. I think they're just interested in what I do after work. So, any hobbies that you're really into?
I enjoy a bit of gardening and catching up with the football. I enjoy a bit of gardening and catching up with the football. So again, British people making things smaller. A bit of gardening. Any hobbies you're into?
Yeah. Well, I'm really into hiking and photography on the weekends. What about you? The Americans are really into things, right? So, yeah. Well, I'm really into hiking and photography on the weekends. What about you? Another work-related question. What's been your favorite project you've worked on so far?
The campaign we did last year was quite good. Turned out better than expected. So again, as a British person, if I say it was quite good, that potentially means that it was really, really successful. But like we said at the beginning, I'm going to understate. I also understated when I said turned out better than expected. So this could have been a huge success, but in British culture, we'll just make our successes a bit smaller. We don't want to boast, don't want to brag. So the campaign we did last year was quite good. Turned out better than expected. What's been your favorite project you've worked on so far?
Definitely the product lunch. Lunch. Ooh, definitely the product launch last year. It was a big win for the team. Now, I'm going to give more of a positive spin on this. Definitely, it was a big win for the team. Now, I think, especially with Americans, we also celebrate the teamwork as well, not just our individuality. So, definitely the product launch last year, it was a big win for the team. Now, you might be new to the team. You might be moving into a new area. You might be moving to a new city. So, you might say something like, I don't get out much. Do you have a favorite place to hang out in the city?
It's nice to go and sit down by the river. There's a few pubs down there as well with good views and not terrible prices. It's nice to go and sit down by the river. There's a few pubs down there as well with good views and not terrible prices. So if the prices are not terrible, it means they are quite good. They're average prices. Not
Yeah.
terrible. Same question. I don't get out that much. Do you have a favorite place to spend time in the city?
Yeah, there's a cool rooftop bar downtown that's great for appetizers. There's a cool rooftop bar downtown that's great for appetizers. All right. So, got any tips for making the most of working here?
Don't be shy. Just have a chat and get to know everyone. And don't be afraid to ask anything. You'll be all right. This is probably the most encouraging thing a British
I
person
was
can
gonna say,
say.
I was like, wow,
Yeah,
that's quite nice, Mark.
right. This is the top of the spectrum. Yeah, when British people say, you'll be fine, you're going to do great. Because we do it so little, it becomes sarcastic. People think we don't mean it when we say, good job. In a British accent, it
It's true.
doesn't sound sincere. Yeah, say, oh, really well done. It doesn't sound like we mean it. It's just our tone of voice and our sense of humor. So probably one of the most sincere and nicest things we can say and most encouraging things we can say is, you'll be all right. Like you could be going into surgery at a hospital and I'll be like, yeah, you'll be all right. That's like as emotional as I can get. So don't be shy. Have a chat and get to know everyone. And don't be afraid to ask anything. You'll be all right. Same question to you. Do you have any tips or advice for making the most of working here?
Definitely network with as many people as you can. It really helps when you get to know everyone. So, the go getter, that go getter American attitude, right? Definitely network with as many people as you can. It really helps when you get to know everyone. All right, so there you go. We hoped you enjoyed both the questions and the possible answers that you might get from your American or British colleagues. Now you're better prepared than ever to start building better relationships with your coworkers in English. Like always, we read and reply to every comment we get here on YouTube, so please let us know. What was your favorite question from the episode? Did you learn anything new about the differences between British and American small talk? And which type of small talk do you prefer? Kind of the more American style or the British style?
Yes, we do like to hear your thoughts about this topic because we know it's so different in different parts of the world. Yeah, what's small talk like in your culture, in your office culture? Please let us know. Don't forget, like usual, you can get a PDF transcript of this episode. So it's every question, every answer written down that you can download and take offline. If you join us as a high-level listening member through the link in the description below, you can get this episode and all the episodes we've done before as well.
Thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe and send us a quick comment. It really helps boost our videos, and we love to hear from you guys. So thank you so much, everyone. We will see you very soon for our next video.